Be a part of the best pro wrestling podcast today at patreon.com/Steve and Larson. Enjoy tons of bonus videos, including patron-only live shows, gameplay, and vintage 10 for the wins, access to podcast question threads, the Friendo care package, and so much more. Support Going In Raw today at patreon.com/Steve and Larson.
What's up, it's your girl Sasha Banks, the legit Foster. You are watching Going In Raw. You like that?
Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw Underground, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here, youtube.com/Steve and Larson, on the Twitch live at twitch.tv/Steve and Larson, and of course found wherever audio podcasts can be found. If you're listening to my voice, leave us a rating, review, or a comment. Larson, I was looking at the rankings for podcast today, and we're at like 202, which means we're just out of the visible rankings. We got to get that boosted up. So, hey, if you watch us...
202 in what category?
Sports. So but we're at like number 18 in wrestling.
Cool.
So if you're watching the show on YouTube and you have one of these phones, you're like, I don't really care about audio podcast apps, give us a sub. It's free. Just hop on there, give us a sub. Let's see if we can get up to like $1.99 within a week. How about that?
There you go.
Anyways, yeah, there you go. New Legacy Inc. knows. He says the road to $1.99.
Yes, that's the next road to.
So, speaking of road twos, Larson, the road to Raw Underground is complete. This has got to be one of the most divisive things I've seen on Raw, on a really weird Raw, mind you.
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, we heard it was chaotic mess shooting Raw today.
I know why now.
Yeah, and something about the bar for quality being set kind of low. Was wrapped up in all that.
Yeah.
And, there's enough professionals that work with the WWE, people who are really good at their jobs, that by and large, when this stuff happened, it's a miracle that these Raws just aren't, like, horrible when they're being, like, written in the process of the show being shot. It's a miracle that Raws such as these are watchable, much less have actually some decent segments. Because you'd think, oh, this Raw was... like the script was tore up, being rewritten as the show was going on, it's going to be a train wreck. And this was a train wreck, but not an unwatchable train wreck.
You know me, dude. What's the one thing in wrestling that I actually really appreciate?
Bad wrestling.
Bad wrestling. And I'm not going to say necessarily that what we saw tonight was bad. I will say that it was a complete train wreck, but I don't necessarily use that in a negative way, necessarily. There was some bad. But first and foremost, my biggest complaint about tonight's show was just the lack of actual wrestling that happened right here in my Steve notes, which I have sent out to our Twitch subs, our patrons, and of course our YouTube channel members. That is a lie. I'm going to do that right now. In my Steve notes, man, we had, I think, one match with a normal end. Like it was Apollo Crews versus MVP. One match that had an actual normal end. Everything else, literally, okay, Riott Squad versus the Iconics.
Well, Garza beat Dawkins more or less clean, right? Pinfall.
Only because of the weirdness with Montez Ford.
Oh, yeah.
Because he fell. Now, the Riott Squad did beat the Iconics cleanly in about 2 minutes with a roll-up, which, I mean, yeah, you can technically say that's a clean win. So that to me was like a big negative. That being said, I understand why Raw creatively had so many problems. According to Gary Cassidy, he was reporting that it was very chaotic backstage during the tapings. I understand why.
Being indecisive, yeah.
They packed a lot into the episode, and I don't think it was a matter of they got the script and ripped it up at the last minute. It was, we have this script and we have to produce all this stuff and have it make sense.
Well, I think it also, too, is ratings are in a downward spiral. How much crap can we throw against the wall to try to get some eyeballs on this product?
Today
so let's try a poisoning as a storyline. Let's reference a movie that's 25 years old so we seem like a hipper company.
Oh, my God. Is it that old? Seriously?
I'm guessing. Well, it's not quite 25, but it's at least 20.
I think you're right.
It's like 99.
I think it was 99.
Fight Club came out.
I think it was 99.
Yeah.
Ugh, 20 years. 21.
So it's they jammed a lot into it. They advertised in advance this new faction that was going to be debuting tonight.
We
got hints.
We'll never see.
We'll probably never see it.
Yeah.
Never see this faction unveiled. Who was underneath those, I guess, masks or whatever. The only hint we got of who they might be is some security cam footage of them throwing like some crap at a generator that blew up. That's it. Heard some voices, couldn't place any of them. And then there was like some flickering lights, kind of, and some microphone issues, kind of.
Yeah, it was completely the literal, like like WWE issued like a weird PR thing, or they just put an article up, said that this faction is going to debut and they're going to cause chaos, and then that's what they did.
Yeah, Hence Be Wonderful says Project Mayhem. You have the Fight Club Underground fight thing, and then you have Project Mayhem going out causing destruction. So maybe it was literally Bruce Pritchard finally got around to seeing Fight Club 20 years after the fact. Like, wow, this movie's awesome. Let's do Fight Club now in WWE.
Him or Shane McMahon, yeah. I know. I'm surprised we didn't see it, like a big guy with like. You remember Bob?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
He might have been up on the stage with the girls. So let's talk about that, because that's what everybody is talking about. Raw Underground debuted tonight. So we had heard earlier in the day that Shane O'Mac was in the cut, and he had some wild and crazy new idea for Raw tonight. And it was, according to, I think, was it WrestleVotes? Said it was an eye-raising idea to some people in the backstage area. And it turns out to be basically Bloodsport. It's a ring with no ropes.
Fight Club, Bloodsport pay-per-view.
No, I'm not talking about the movie. I'm sorry. I'm talking about the movie. It's like clear. I mean, even Matt Riddle got on Twitter and was like, "This is Matt Riddle's Bloodsport, everybody." So it's filmed in like a warehouse area of the Performance Center.
I think it's the same place they had that ring set up where people would just kind of linger about. They just took the ropes off, changed the aprons.
Was this where Ciampa and Gargano had their
no,
match?
I think
Different place,
or it might have been, but then they emptied out the rest of that space.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, it looked like a warehouse, sort of, and they had a ring with no ropes. And Shane O'Mac, Jack Daddy was the ref for, I think, most of these matches.
He was. Shane was the MC, more or less.
There was dancing girls with like colored lights on them. It was, and the editing picked up its pace quite a bit when the fights would be going down. So it was a lot of choppy cuts. Now, here's the thing about Raw Underground. At first, I hated it. Then I thought it was funny. And then by the end, when Hurt Business got involved, I saw that this is an idea with tons of potential that will probably end up being a relatively short-lived gimmick that won't go anywhere, and then they'll reference it like a year from now.
That's why I can't get excited about anything, because I agree with you. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, really? This is it? Mm-hmm. And then by the time Hurt Business came in there and started beating everybody up, I was like, okay, I can see the potential of this, but where are they going to take it? Is this going to be a division? Is this going to be... like, what's the end game? What's the point? Why should I care about it? Yeah, it's kind of cool to see people in there, quote unquote, shoot fighting, even though it's all worked. When the first dude, Daba, won a match with a double axe handle, it's like, all right, I'm supposed to believe this is a shoot fight when dudes winning matches. There's ref stoppage due to double axe handle. Get out of here.
Hold on a second, Larson. Hold on. Not just a ref stoppage, a Shane O'Mac stoppage.
Yeah, he instructed the ref to stop the match after a double axe handle. It got better when Hurt Business got involved, but I'm still not given much reason, I feel personally, to get vested, because I'm pretty confident in about 4 weeks' time this is going to be completely dropped, just like Mick Foley's rebranded third hour of Raw.
Oh they
dropped the lights, got rid of the graphics, all that stuff. That lasted like a week.
So let's you and I collaborate on what the potential of Raw Underground.
This is what needs to, so they announced, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead. No,
I thought of this while watching. So they announced Payback is happening after SummerSlam, the week after. That needs to be the Raw Underground pay-per-view.
Yeah.
That's what it needs to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know you're going to say, Raw can go back to being 2 hours and Raw Underground can be the third hour.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. You have your regular storylines with Drew and Randy and Seth and Sasha and Bayley and all them. But then when the 10 o'clock hour comes around, you're not bleeping the bullshit anymore. You're not bleeping the curse words. You let them bleed maybe a little bit. You do something in its own contained storyline with, yes, its own contained title. Yes. And you give an opportunity. I was so happy when I saw Hanson and Rowe, Eric and Ivor, the Viking guys.
Yeah.
When I saw them, I was like, oh, whoa. I think that's when I started to turn. I was like, wait a second. That's kind of cool. Like, these guys who were like goofballs and doing these comedy segments, this is the atmosphere that I can see War Machine in and thrive. That's kind of cool. I even liked that they had Dolph in there, and Shane referenced the fact that this guy is like an amateur, like a very...
Yeah, he's got the most wins in Kent State history or something like that.
Yeah, he's got a great career as an amateur wrestler. I like that stuff, man. I think that could really, really work.
There's potential, and I know this is our introduction. They gotta let these fights breathe. I know, again, an introduction, so you got more established names against essentially raw underground jobbers. So if this is gonna be a real thing, they're gonna try to build and make kind of a division, then choreograph these matches not like pro wrestling matches, so don't have double axe handles involved.
Yeah, but I do
line them out, plot them out like you would fights. Let's say you get rid of all the pro wrestling stuff. Anything that seems like could be pulled off in a shoot fight environment. Like when Bob Lashley just picked up that guy effortlessly, deadlifted, powerbombed him. Amazing.
Right, that's cool stuff, yeah.
Ray Rose, the German suplex on that dude. Great.
Yeah.
It's believable within the context of that world that to happen. But when dude comes up with double axe handle across somebody's midsection and they call for the fight to end, it takes me out of the illusion entirely.
I don't disagree. I agree completely. You make these come off more like shoot fights, but you add pro wrestling elements to them when it fits. It's from what I understand, the limited amount of blood sport I've seen, the pay-per-view, not the movie, or the wrestling show. That's what it is. I like here in chat. This kills me. IZ says ban Irish whips because there's no ropes there. So
there's no ropes.
You can't do it.
Or you could do it and the person just gets flung out of the ring.
He just falls out of the ring. But otherwise, man, I like it. I mean, I don't know what you do like when live crowds come back. Let's say it actually miraculously continues on a year from now, which is impossible.
That's not gonna happen. They're not gonna do anything more than what they did tonight. This is what it is. It's not gonna be anything more than this.
You don't think that they would expand it and give it a little bit more breathing room?
No, I don't think this is WWE. No, I hope they do.
It's fair to be pessimistic as a WWE.
Yeah, it's pessimistic. I'm pessimistic given their history. I mean, like I brought up Mick Foley introducing the third hour Raw with like the house lights down and no graphics and stuff. It's like, oh, here's granted superficial way to make the third hour Raw feel different, but it's different.
It will, yeah, it will be.
That lasted a week.
It will be. I mean, look, we both know what it's going to come down to, man. I will guarantee you the reason why that Raw third hour thing didn't work is simply because Vince McMahon, by the end of that night, was like, this isn't what it's supposed to be. It looks stupid. If he literally right now, if he has seen this on TV, if Vince watches the Raw back, the actual
I think
Raw,
he's there.
No, well, it's not. They didn't air this. I mean, this wasn't live. I'm saying, once Vince is done watching the broadcast, either if it's on TV or he gets an advance copy or whatever, if he says this looks stupid, we ain't gonna see it again.
Yep,
it's gonna be one of those weird things that we never see. If the ratings pop, if the buzz around this is so great, he'll give it another chance. But at the end of the day, if he thinks that it's stupid, then it ain't going to keep going. If Vince sees value in it, then he might. I just don't think, because Vince has his idea of what pro wrestling is, and it is not Raw Underground. That being said, I do think that it could solve a couple problems. I think it gives a place for people to go and compete if they're not getting on TV. I think that it makes Raw essentially a 2-hour show. Because I know a lot of people on Twitter were like, man, I thought it was going to start at 10 p.m. and go like the entire third hour.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But then they were advertising the singles matches between Montez and Andrade and Dawkins and Garza.
So yeah, I mean, it would solve that problem. I like the presentation. I think if you just let the editing breathe a little bit, man, enough with the heavy cuts, and bring Shane O'Mac, either you like dial down Shane quite a bit, or you just amp him all the way up, and you're like, okay, it's Raw Underground. In that corner over there, we got dancing girls. In that corner over there, it's our Coke corner. In that corner over there, you see a bunch of people like, and then in that corner over there, and it's just like a complete Coke-fueled nightmare.
Well, if you do that, then you gotta have even more cuts in there.
Yeah. Well, that's where I should have gone.
Should last longer than 10 frames.
You're right. Exactly. However, they're not gonna do that, and the dancing girls do have to go because that's just stupid.
It is.
And it's funny because we got actually a pretty good question about that here on the Patreon. I'll just read it now because people are going to talk about it. The Mayor Pete here says, if the dancing girls segment on Raw Underground is out of touch, which is what I tweeted out, why haven't you called out AEW when they have done similar cringy things on their pay-per-views? And he's referring to the women in bikinis on in the lifeguard at Fyter Fest. Yeah. And my response to that is, me personally, it's about the context of presentation. So the Fyter Fest or the Bash of the Beach, whatever it was. No, it was Fyter Fest.
It's Fyter Fest.
It's basically supposed to be like a Bash of the Beach type thing. Like it's beach themed.
So I always felt it was presented somewhat tongue in cheek.
It was tongue in cheek. Yeah.
This is a trope of wrestling past for beach themed pay-per-views. Here we're doing this, but it's tongue in cheek. That was always my interpretation of it.
And if I thought there was a hint of irony in the dancing girls at Raw Underground, I would probably consider the same thing. I would be like, oh, well, that's just sort of silly. But there really was no hint of irony. It was just like, somebody threw this out there without any irony and was like, oh, yeah, we could do that. So that's the difference.
Someone just finally, it just felt like really someone finally watched Fight Club. That's what it really felt.
Even in Fight Club, they didn't have dancing girls under
No, I know.
But
that's one of those things where Vince would probably think, it'd make Fight Club even better. Dancing girls.
Yeah. I did think that it was unintentionally funny. Like, I didn't think it was necessarily offensive, although I'm sure some people could. I just thought it was it was unintentionally funny. It was like, you got Hurt Business up there, and then they show for literally about 10 frames the dancing girls. And it's like, okay, I know you shot that and it looks dynamic and you want to use the shot, but it's so goofy. It's so goofy.
So Mofo Inc. here says Bloodsport is what they watch, not Fight Club. I don't think Vince watches any other wrestling. That's why I'm like, I don't even think he's ever seen Fight Club. It's probably Bruce Pritchard. You probably watched Fight Club.
Okay, but let me ask you this. You don't think that, because the missing ropes is what got me thinking, oh, somebody saw Bloodsport.
Yeah, entirely possible. That could just be someone saying.
It's a very specific thing. You know what I mean?
I could see that, but if you're presenting this as a shoot fight thing, I don't necessarily think it's a huge leap of logic without having to see Bloodsport. Think, how do we make this feel more shoot fight and less pro wrestling? Well, let's take the ropes down.
Yeah, it's totally possible. Yeah, Matt Riddle was sort of saying that as well. But in terms of we have heard that Vince doesn't watch other wrestling. It's entirely possible that he hasn't seen that. It's also entirely possible that maybe Shane has. I don't know how much Shane watches, or this might have even been some Triple H influence. That's possible. They got that fight pit. He wants things to be a little lighter. So yeah, it could be that Shane came to the show and was like, "Hey, I got this idea. It's called Raw Underground." And Triple H's like, "Oh yeah, it's like Barnett's Bloodsport. It's great." What? Nothing. Don't worry about it. Just take off the ring ropes. It'll be great.
Yeah,
I could see that happening. Could be. Somebody just drive into your backyard.
There's a motorcycle. It's driving down the street.
Nice.
We live right next to a relatively busy road, so.
Not that I have to ask anybody, because I'm sure you're going to leave them anyways. But of course, we want to know what you guys think about Raw Underground. Let us know in the comments below. I'm kind of curious, man. I should put up a poll on the in the community tab, one of the old school Raw polls or going in Raw polls. What do you think of Bloodsport? Yeah or nay? Yeah
or nay. But yeah, it was a weird Raw. There's kind of a lot to get through. So I suppose we should start.
So yeah, first up we got Apollo Crews versus MVP, but both during Apollo's entrance and MVP's entrance, there were flickering lights. Well, at one point, the lights just went out, and then they came back up, and they flickered for MVP's thing.
And Tom Phillips was apologizing for technical difficulties, and later on we'd find out the source of these issues.
Yeah. So we had the match, but first MVP got on the mic, called out Apollo Crews for not being there, said once MVP is done with him tonight and keeps his U.S. title, their business is over, and Apollo can go hang out in catering with the others. And he says, bon appetit. So there was quite a bit of light flickering during this match, but I really loved the finish. Saw Apollo Crews basically no-selling a really nice-looking German suplex.
Yeah.
Screamed, did this battle cry right into MVP's face and dropped him with his finish for the win.
Yeah, it was good.
Lashley came in right afterwards to try to get him back in the full Nelson, but Crews was able to evade that. And that's your one match of the night.
Pretty much. Your one 15-minute match. Afterwards, Apollo Crews had an interview backstage. He was putting over Bob Lashley's strength, said it was unlike anyone else's. He said because of that full Nelson, he had to sit in front of his TV and watch MVP acting like the U.S. champ while his kids asked him, Dad, I thought you were U.S. champ. And he said he wanted nothing more than be able to tell his kids that he was the U.S. champion. And so he's going to put his old U.S. title in his kids' room so they can have the first title he won at WWE. I thought that was great.
Well, I know, dude, his personality's so infectious when they just let him be. Yeah, I like him a lot, man.
Why is it taking years for us to actually see this,
We've seen flashes of it, but they're finally letting him
I know.
Letting him
so
go
he says, as for this title, the one the MVP they paid for, hey, thanks.
Yeah. He said, doesn't this look good? So after that,
we had MVP promo back.
I love this bit right here. So yeah, Hurt Business, they are at commentary, and MVP gets on the mic, and he's yelling at Tom Phillips at commentary. He gets on the mic.
Rough night for Tom Phillips tonight.
Yeah, it was. And he's like, man, who can work in these conditions here? I have a match for the U.S. title, and I got these flickering lights going on. All these glitches are happening. And he says, Apollo, I don't care about your wife. I don't care about your kids. I want my rematch, and I want it. And Shelton says, hey, you should do it at SummerSlam, because that's the next pay-per-view coming up. You should wait till Raw. You should do it at SummerSlam. And he's like, I want it at SummerSlam. So, yeah.
Yeah. After that, we got a Sasha and Bayley interview. Bayley says, we're going to make it simple. They have the gold. Asked if they defend any of those belts at SummerSlam. And Bayley's like, hey, Sarah, I respect your profession, but your questions are boring. We're here to spice things up a bit. And they brought something special. And it was more or less a Sasha and Bayley movie trailer with a movie trailer voice guy.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
And he was narrating it. But then it was interrupted by Asuka. She got in the editing booth and put her own clip in. And she says, revenge will be very, very sweet. Cut back to Sasha and Bayley. Bayley can't believe how professional that was. Sasha starts to talk about how she's a blueprint and so on. Shayna comes in, says, Sasha, you snaked your way into getting that title. I've been waiting in line long enough to have my own fun. Sasha starts to give her some business. Bang! Just clocks her with the forearm.
It was very, very satisfying. It looked so crisp. It was good.
Yeah, and Sasha sold it like $1 million.
Oh, man. She did totally. Yeah. So I was like, holy crap, they're gonna have a match. That's cool. And then we saw how that happened. Afterwards, Kevin Owens. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens is backstage. He's looking for a drink, and the Iconics come over, and they're like, "Hey, so you got the Kevin Owens show tonight?" He's like, "Yeah." They're like, "We want to be on that." He was like, "No, I already booked my guest tonight."
I thought it was great because he goes, "Oh yeah, that'd be great. I love Australia, just not tonight because I already have guests. I planned these things."
I know, which is a great little commentary on how nothing is planned on the WWE.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, so we get the Kevin Owens show. His mic keeps on having, in fact, everybody's mics during this whole segment.
But just this segment.
We're going out. Yeah, I know. It sort of stopped here, didn't it? Huh? Yeah, it did.
And the flickering lights didn't last much beyond the opening segment.
Yeah, right. So I guess the idea is they hit the power generator, and then the production people were able to figure out after the first.
And then they got to the mixing board and was just messing with the sliders, I guess.
Yeah. Anyways, so basically, he asks Ruby Riott to come out, and she's like, definitely babyface. She's saying, I do like how they're kayfabing these heel and face dynamics, inner personalities. Like Kevin Owens is doing that a lot lately. He did it a lot tonight. And she says,
a lot of self-reflection from Kevin Owens.
Yeah, and we got some of that from Ruby Riott tonight. She calls the Iconics toxic, sad broads. But she's like, I finally got to put an end to the Iconic bullshit. That was kind of cool. They let her curse, even though they bleeped it. And then Kevin Owens pulls kind of a Maury Povich and says, well, I've got Liv Morgan right here. So Liv Morgan comes out, but it's all altruistic. Like, he tries to play sort of in-ring matchmaker. Hey, let's all make amends. He says,
he's speaking from his own history.
Yeah, he says, when I was a bad guy, I did a lot of bad things to people. I said a lot of things I shouldn't have, but it was all in service of my own career. I thought that's what I had to do to get me ahead. He says, but I got to tell you both, it's not worth it. And he says, Liv, can you just hear Ruby out? And Ruby explains her own heelish tendencies that we've seen. Says, when I came back from my injury, I saw that you were coming into your own. The idea that you didn't need me really hurt. And I realized that when I was beat by you, that I felt that I wasn't ready to come back, and I blamed you for that. She starts crying. I thought this was really, really good from Ruby Riott.
Yeah, I actually thought this whole segment was really well done.
It was really well done. It was really good. And she said, basically, I want another chance for the Riott squad. And then it's that whole scene is sort of interrupted by the Iconics. They talk some crap saying the Liv should have stayed in the bathtub. Liv talks some crap back. The Iconics challenge them to a match. And then Kevin Owens says, okay, well, if you've said what you have to say here, can you leave? And then Peyton slaps Kevin Owens, says, she was like, that's for, he's like, they started talking. He's like, can we get some more of those production mistakes, please?
But just their mics. Yeah.
Yeah, but just theirs. So she slaps him and then says, was that really necessary? And then Billy Kay slaps him. And then he's like, ladies, can you help me out here? And then they go ahead and attack the Iconics. That leads to a match with Kevin Owens on commentary.
It does. First, though, we get a quick shot of a dude standing in front of a door, which was, I guess, where Raw Underground was. It was
the tall ninja, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Then, yes, we got Riott Squad, a reformed Riott Squad, taking on the Iconics. Kevin Owens joins on commentary. Pretty short match. Sees Billy Kay pulling Peyton Royce to their corner after Liv hit her with the missile drop kick, tags herself in, and then Liv pretty much immediately rolls her up for the win. Ruby Riott was kind of taken out prior to that. Iconics are beating up Liv. They're going for their finish. Ruby makes the save, and they hit Billy Kay with a double STO.
Yeah, I thought it was good stuff. I mean, I just wish the match was a little bit longer.
Yeah, no,
because there was not a lot of wrestling tonight.
There was not a lot going on. So next, this again setting up this new faction. So Charlie's talking about like some boxes that have fallen over, and then there's power outages that may have coincided with those boxes falling over too. MVP walks in, blames his U.S. title loss on a bunch of power outages and glitches. Charlie informs him that Apollo has accepted his challenge for a match at SummerSlam, and MVP just goes, "Oh, now I feel much better."
That brightened up his day.
Shelton steps in, says someone stole the 24/7 title, and MVP says, "We're gonna go find it."
Yeah. After that, Drew McIntyre comes out, and he basically has a promo on Randy Orton. He says, once upon a time, Vince said me and Randy were the future of this industry.
Chosen ones.
Yeah, the chosen ones. He sort of paces back and forth, and I was like, did he just forget his line or something? Anyways, he picks it back up. He says, I think Edge said it best when he said that, Randy, wrestling wasn't your plan A or B or C or probably not even D. He says, you know what? I know when I was a kid, I woke up and I had a dream and I sacrificed everything to pull it off. Randy, you were handed everything with a silver spoon. I didn't have an evolution backing me up, cleaning up after me, making sure I didn't get fired for my mistakes. Drew says, when I made mistakes, I did get fired for them. He literally talked about Randy Orton crapping in a duffel bag, which was awesome.
He said, Randy deserved to be fired, but he spoke to so many people that cleaned up Randy's crap, the legit crap that Orton left behind. So he didn't specifically say crap in duffel bag or luggage, but, if you know the story, that's the reference.
So Orton comes out. He says, last week I came out, I said I respected you, and this is how you repay me by saying I was handed everything. He said, if I didn't want to be here, I've made enough money. I don't have to be here. He says, you know what, dude? I wasn't fired because he says, I wasn't fired back then for making mistakes because I was more valuable than you. He says, you know, all I've heard you say is repeat the opinions of other legends. Why don't you come up with one original opinion about me? And Drew says, okay, fine. He says, you want me to shoot? I'll shoot. He says, I think you represent everything that's wrong with the WWE. He says, you know, we all saw that Last Ride documentary. He says the most interesting thing about that was Undertaker pulling Orton up because he loves this industry and he wants to make the future of it better. He says, when's the last time you ever did that? When did you ever sit down with anybody in the back and help them out? He says, I remember 10 years ago when I was feeling low, my personal life, my professional life was crumbling around me. I was sitting in catering and you just walked on by. You didn't stop and say anything to me. You didn't do anything to help me. He says, when I look at you, I don't see a leader. I see a selfish prick. And he says, at SummerSlam, I'm going to rip off your head and you'll sure as hell see it coming.
We get a quick shot of. I thought that was really good. It was really good.
I thought the back half of it was really good. I thought starting out by saying Randy is being fed with a silver spoon. I'm always like, I don't really like when they go there. To me, it's just
it's ground that's been well covered so far.
Yeah. But I thought that everything after Randy coming out was great.
Yeah. We get a quick bit with Nia and Pat Buck backstage, and then we get another quick bit backstage of Kevin Owens talking to Ruby and Liv. Ric Flair walks in. He wants to have a word with KO. Flair puts Owens over in terms of being held in high regard by WWE, but Ric's worried that Owens is too worried about other people rather than taking care of himself. And Owens is like, no. See, I'm trying to help my friends work their stuff out. Says he used to do a lot of crappy things to get to the top, but now he's trying to take a different way there. He's trying to take the way that Randy should have taken, but doesn't. And Ric says, whoa, let that breathe. Says he's giving him advice he needs to take, not something that you want to hear. You should take care of Kevin Owens. Maybe you'll get the title match at SummerSlam.
I didn't understand that logic, but you could just chalk it up to being Ric Flair, I guess.
I guess so. And then Owens says if Ric is so worried about his career, he'll show what kind of fighter he is. Challenges Randy Orton to a match next week.
Next time you say something that is a bit heavy, I'm just going to say, whoa. Just let that breathe for a little bit.
Yeah, or something you disagree with.
Yeah, that's a great phrase. I really like this next bit, dude. So Nia Jax comes to the ring with Pat Buck, who finally gets the respect of having his name said on the air. Man, talk about an authority figure. So she starts running him down, saying he's a piece of crap who couldn't cut it in his own career. Says, basically turns to him and says, oh, hey, Pat, I didn't even see you there. Says, you came down here for an apology. How about this? How about a match instead? You versus me. She basically tries to punk him out. Calls him a ginger, a small man, shoves the mic at him. She's like, come on, let's go now. He's like, guess what? You're suspended without pay indefinitely. Oh, I was dying laughing, man. She was like, you don't have the authority to do that. Evidently, he does.
And then she pulls down like his blazer halfway, then headbutts him and kicks him out of the ring.
I thought that was her. So are they just like going to write her off now? Is that what the deal is? She going to show up at
She
Raw
just
Underground?
came back not that long ago.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. I don't know what the deal is. Raw Underground for Nia Jax. That's what Raw Underground should be. Everything hold harmless.
So then R-Truth runs to the ring. He's got the 24/7 title. And then some ninjas give chase. Go to commercial, come back. Because we have a match for 24/7 title. We got Akira Tozawa versus Shelton Benjamin versus R-Truth. Tozawa walks away from this match as new 24/7 champ. I thought so that one of the ninjas hit the ring and does a bunch of handspring stuff like Ricochet does.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought maybe Ricochet and Cedric was going to get involved in this somehow, especially when the Hurt Business started beating him up. But that didn't happen.
I wonder, dude, I kind of wonder if Hurt Business is going to be like the anchor to Raw Underground.
Entirely possible.
I mean, it definitely seemed like that by the end of the night. Mm-hmm. It opens up some room for Cedric, Ricochet, and Ali, and now Apollo is back to sort of, do more stuff. I would be really into that because Lashley, I mean, we saw all three of those guys, but especially Lashley and Benjamin, ripping people to shreds in that ring or whatever you call it, on the mat, would be terrific. Yeah. Would be really terrific.
Yeah. Well, I thought watching this that they seemed like maybe it's just me reading too much in the situation. The dude doing the handsprings and stuff. It's like, oh, that's stuff Ricochet does.
Could be. No,
Cedric does too. But I thought they were going to do something where they unmask and there was a big brawl that broke out after Tozawa leaves with the belt between them and Hurt Business.
Well, maybe they'll all take that feud to the thing. I mean, maybe that was some foreshadowing. After that, we had our first glimpse of Raw Underground when Shane said, "Join me at 10 p.m. for Raw Underground," and there's like dudes like beating the crap out of each other in the background. Then we get a Dominic interview. Man, I thought Dominic in the segment later on was just aces. Like he's putting in some work in the ring, man. He was crisp tonight. Speaks like a little baby though.
Yeah, no, he still needs to get some confidence when he's talking on the mic.
Ray just has a very soft voice as well. He
does, but Ray has years of experience backing him up to lend him some gravitas.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Dominic needs to develop that. And that just comes with time and practice and repetition.
Yeah. So he basically, I didn't really write much of this down, but he challenges Seth to a match at SummerSlam. He says, forgive me if I'm out of it a little bit, but I'm not thinking right, and people are going to think that I'm not thinking right when I challenge Seth to a match at SummerSlam. Apparently I did remember a little bit of it. After that, we had what I thought was going to be Shayna Baszler versus Sasha Banks, and I was like, this should really be like a main event to
like a pay-per-view match,
a show.
But then don't worry, Steve, we didn't get a match.
But the match, what we did get, I thought was pretty damn good. Like I'm looking really forward to that if that ever actually happens.
But then, there's back and forth. They trade knees. Asuka runs down the ringside and beats up Bayley. Who's ringside? The bell rings.
If Vince is such a weird stickler for like tag team rules or for various things that you can't.
Oh, dude, you see the rule book? It's a sketch pad. He throws that shit out the window.
This is just weird to me, though. This is such a blatant what is okay? If somebody brings this up, okay, Bruce, how are we going to finish this match? Well, how about Asuka comes down and attacks Bayley, and the ref calls for DQ because there's just too much going on. No, that's not. No, no. Don't be stupid.
Now, you could try to make the case that, the timekeeper was trying to say, hey, order. But no, if the bell rings, usually means the match is over. Or at least that's the thought that's in your head.
Yeah.
Bell rings 2 times in the course of a match.
Yeah.
Begins and ends.
Yeah. Yeah.
You hear the bell ring after the ring to start the match, it means the match is over. That's just what you think. That's what we're conditioned to think. But anyways, after she beats up Bayley, Asuka does run to the ring. Sasha leaves. So that obviously didn't cause a DQ because the bell didn't ring again.
Yeah. Yeah, Ryan here in chat has a good point. All she had to do was rush the ring first and touch Sasha. Even if it was incidental, even if there was something incidental. Let's say Shayna and Sasha were battling on the outside of the ring. And Asuka comes running down. Bayley tries to get in the way. She shoves Bayley, and Bayley goes rolling into them. Then you could conceivably say contact has been made. Throw this out.
It warrants a disqualification. Nothing there warranted a disqualification.
Yeah. So anyways, the match was thrown out or is DQ'd. Asuka gets an interview. Says she wants a rematch. She says Kyrie, God, how did she phrase this?
Well, she's asked about an update on Kyrie. She says Kyrie will be okay, but she's not here.
But she's not here.
Bayley are here.
Yeah.
I'm here. I want my rematch at SummerSlam.
Yeah. And then Shayna, she has a mic. She sort of appears. And she's like, hold on a second. She's like, hey, I don't want to fight you. I'm going to be cheering for you.
Well, she says, I don't want to fight you yet.
Yeah. She says, your match against Sasha, I want that to happen. I'm going to be cheering for you. I'm going to be, rooting for you because I want to dismember you and take the title off you. And then Sasha comes back out, says, hey, I got bad news for you guys. The title is mine. Asuka, you can get your title shot at SummerSlam, and this is great. If you can beat former NXT champion, of course, thinking it's Shayna, Bayley. And Bayley's like,
Yep.
What the hell? Of course, that's what Bayley would do incessantly to Sasha.
Yep.
We got some symmetry here. Long-term storytelling. It's a beautiful thing.
Something like that.
It's a beautiful thing.
Next, we get Angel Garza backstage. He's getting the number of Demi, who was on The Bachelor, I think.
That's what they said, yeah.
Andrade walks up. Angel introduces her. Then Zelina walks into frame, says to Demi, "You don't belong here," and then she wants to go have a talk with Angel Garza. We get a quick bit of more Raw Underground. Dude gets powerbomb, match stopped, and that's when you see Swerve ringside. You go to commercial, come back, and that's when you get Dabba-Kato against Raw Underground Jobber.
Yeah.
And that's when he wins by axe handle, and then another dude steps in.
I think I was marking out for this so much I didn't even put in my Steve notes.
This
but
is
I
the part.
remember
This is
that
the part you
happening.
didn't like. Then he hits a belly to belly in the second Raw Underground Jobber, some forearms. That match is stopped.
I was screaming about this because I think my main problem with it is at that point it was clear that Shane McMahon was like calling these matches. Like, I'm sorry, not calling. He was ending them.
Yeah, he was a de facto. Jack Daddy might have been in there.
He was in
Shane
there,
was
but
the de facto referee.
he was like, okay, stop now, stop. Okay, that's enough. I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
If you're like the Dana White of this thing, Dana White's not going in there saying, okay, stop. All right, so after that, we had a Street Profits promo. They're in the ring, and Dawson at first is like, man, that girl that Garza was spitting game at, I want in on that. And then Montez is like, he gets a little serious, and he's like, we want the smoke. That's essentially what happened.
Well, then he starts talking trash about Angel Garza's velvet pants. So they don't breathe in August.
Yeah, he's probably right about that.
Probably is.
Well, I don't know. Who are they to say? I mean, it's, Garza seems comfortable. The heck?
Velvet could be kind of thick, man. It probably doesn't breathe well.
Yeah, maybe not. But like, who are what business is that of theirs?
Well, understood. They don't last on Garza very long during the course of the match anyway, so it's kind of a moot point.
That's true.
The first one-on-one bout, Angel Garza versus Angelo Dawkins. Dawkins is dominating this match until Ford goes up he's on the floor, shakes the ropes, and then he kind of collapses.
Yeah.
And Dawkins goes to check on him, turns around, eats a super kick, and then a basement drop kick from Garza. Garza gets the win. Thing is, Ford is slated to have a match against Andrade right afterwards.
Yeah, so the guy passes out, and yet the doctor clears him to wrestle immediately.
Sounds like WWE does that.
It kind of does, yeah. So we got a Montez Ford versus Andrade next, and and Montez is just sort of floating in and out of this match, and it's sort of crescendos, I guess, with him doing. So he does like a tope thing, and then he comes back in, and he starts doing the Ultimate Warrior rope shaking thing, and then he just collapses. And I swear to God, if this was live and there was a crowd there, he did this so well that I probably would have been freaked out. If they hadn't had like kayfabed it like a second ago, like during that first match, and they just did this cold, I would have been legit freaked out.
Yeah.
Because this was messed up.
Yeah, the way he was selling, actually both of them was pretty good.
Yeah, he was selling it like it was real. It was scary.
Yeah, so the ref calls for the bell, and that's the right time to call for a bell. When someone just collapses. Trainer comes in the ring, check him out. We get a health update on him later on. Before that, we see Buddy busting out his iPhone, watching footage of when he took Alistair's eye last week. Seth is standing there nearby, tells Buddy, hey, you made the right decision. I'm proud of you. You should be proud of you. Past is past tonight. Focus on the future. And Buddy says, speaking of the future, have you thought about Dominic's challenge? I think it's ridiculous. He's never really stepped foot in the ring. This goes on and on about how it's an obvious mismatch. He goes, it's ridiculous, right? Seth just kind of smirks, and then he walks away.
You know what I noticed about this? It was a small thing. I don't know if it matters at all or if it was intentional or not. It was probably just their surroundings. Seth seemed really echoey, but like in kind of a cool way. Like he was in a church, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if that was intentional. Probably not, but it was effective. After that, we had Charlie and I'm sorry. More Raw Underground,
man.
Yeah.
That's when Ray Rowe German suplexed that guy and then kneed him out of the ring.
That was rad. He looked at home, man. He looked at home. After that, Charlie with an update on Montez, and Garza interrupts with a rose. He starts trying to romance her at kind of an inopportune moment. Zelina and Andrade come in, interrupt him. They're concerned, but she's more curious about what that means for the tag titles and their opportunity. Angelo Dawkins, I put Dawson. Angelo comes out, and she's like, hey, what's going on with Charlie's like, what's going on? And he's like, I'm not exactly sure. And I loved it because like his voice seemed unlike anything I've heard from Angelo before. Like we often refer to it as like a shoot voice. His shoot voice definitely is different from like his like usual like on camera voice. And I thought it gave it even more of like a really grave undertone. Yeah. So he says, the doc says he was probably poisoned before the match. And then Bianca comes out. She's not happy. She's like, okay, just tell me, what'd you guys use? What'd you guys poison him with? Because I know it's you. And Selena's like, we would never. She was like, and she starts taking off her earrings. And she's like, you better tell me right now. And so she just attacks Zelina.
It was great.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was so good. It was so good. After that, we had the security cam footage of a group of people throwing some crap at a generator and it blew up.
This was, I'll be honest, dude, I know we only got a glimpse of some people, but number one, why would they dress them almost exactly like, I mean, I'm sure if you're close up, they're probably wearing hoodies, but like they look like ninjas. They look like they were dressed like Akira Tozawa's ninjas.
That's who I thought it was at first.
And number two, like, so I started to think going into this because of like the Twitter activity of both Dijak and Ciampa that this could be some kind of cool, like, hey, we're really going to disrupt the status quo around here. This just looked cheesy. Like the Molotov cocktail thing looks so cheesy.
What was Ciampa tweeting?
He deleted a bunch of tweets. I'm sorry. He didn't tweet anything. He deleted a bunch of tweets.
Did he use the same app that
people were saying it was the same kind of thing that Dijak did, and then Dijak like he tweeted out or Instagram something that said "We'll rise from the ashes" or something like that. So like, okay, that's kind of cool. They might put, given that Ciampa was basically written off by Killer Cross and Dijak was written off, maybe they're going to do a thing on NXT. I don't know, but I was like, okay, that could be a cool pair that they can add some more people to debut on Raw if that's going to be the case. But like the way that they were presented just in that security cam, they look goofy. They look like fans or something. It was really silly. I mean, yeah, I saw this a couple times, Zondo, and this would sort of fall in line with what we were talking about on Friendo Club TV. Like it's supposed to be Antifa or something, something really silly that doesn't belong in the WWE. So yeah, I don't know, man. I was like, I don't really want, if this is going to be the deal, if that's what they're going to be like portrayed as, not into it, like immediately.
Same. This isn't going to last 3 weeks anyway. So after that, we had a Hurt Business interview. Charlie more or less says, hey, it's been a rough day for the three of you. It's probably good that Lashley doesn't have a match. And MVP asks Charlie, what kind of journalism is this? You've got these glitches, accidents, people throwing Molotov cocktails at power generators, and this is your question. Your question should be about sabotage. And Shelton says, don't you think it's a bit strange that all the sabotage is happening the same night that Raw Underground shows up? And then Charlie's like, I don't know anything about a coincidence. All I know is that's where the underground fighting is happening. And Bob Lashley goes, underground fighting?
Yeah, that was good.
He just gets immediately excited.
He was like, something for me to do around here.
MVP goes, oh, okay, well, I guess I know where we're headed now.
Yeah, because the great thing about it, too, is that freaking MVP saw how excited he got, and then he started to get excited. He was like, oh, okay, hold on, okay.
Yeah, it was good. We had a pretty extended Seth Rollins, Rey Mysterio, Dominic recap. It was pretty long. And then we get another long Seth promo. He takes the roundabout way to accepting Dom's challenge, but first he basically made Tom Phillips pee his pants.
Yeah, so I kind of like that, man. So he was calling out Tom Phillips this whole segment, obviously, because of Joe. He was calling him out for what was he laughing at?
When Dominic was attacking Seth with the kendo stick last week.
That's right. So he was like, you're supposed to be the voice of Monday Night Raw. We might have to get a new voice.
Says you need to be unbiased. People hear your voice. It goes in their little brains, and then they develop your bias essentially. He says, yes, we think it might be time for a new voice of Raw. Seth tells Murphy to take him. Joe steps up to Buddy. Anytime Joe steps up to anybody, it's great. Says, not going to happen. Think you come over here and bully my broadcast partner. They can go back you guys can go back in your ring and make your point, or I'll slap the hell out of you, Seth. And Seth tells Joe he doesn't want to do this. And Joe goes, no, I do. Takes his headset off slowly. Seth and Buddy roll in the ring. Seth tells him to get in. Joe takes his jacket off, starts undoing his sleeves. Go to commercial, come back. Seth and Buddy have chairs. Dominic runs in with the kendo stick, beats the hell out of Seth and Buddy, hits some ground and pound on Buddy. A 619 goes up top, takes out both Buddy and Seth with a crossbody. So he's standing in the middle of the ring with a chair. Seth and Buddy, they flee up the ramp. Seth grabs a mic and accepts Dom's challenge for SummerSlam. And this part was great. So you got Byron and Joe kind of fairly lightheartedly talking about what happened.
Yeah.
And Tom Phillips just looks absolutely shell-shocked.
Well, because he just peed himself.
Yeah. He did pee himself.
Yeah.
At the least, he peed himself.
At the
Maybe
least.
poo-poo.
He might have crapped his pants, too.
There might have been poo-poo, too.
Might have been shit.
He was devastated, and Joe kind of looks over at him, offers him up a fist bump. He takes it. But you could tell that he was not in good shape after that.
He sold that great. Dude, can we talk about Dominic? He looks so damn good. Doling out those kendo shots. That 619 was flipping fantastic. Those things are not easy to do. You see other people struggle with them.
Especially, I would think.
The taller you are, the harder it is.
Yeah, the taller you are, the harder. I mean, Cesaro could pull it off. Being the first time he did it, it seemed like he was kind of doing it in slow motion.
Yeah, I know. Even to this day, Cesaro, because he's like a big, bulky guy. But
yeah,
Walter,
he's like 6'4". Yeah,
Dominic is he's a tall kid. I don't really know he always wears really baggy shirts. I don't know what his torso looks like, but he's like a big dude. What I'm being serious there. Like he wears really baggy shirts. No, I don't know. He might be. I don't know. He might be thicker on the top. I don't know. I would think that would make it more difficult for him to do the 619. He might look more like Walter than we think he does.
Maybe.
In his trunk, in his torso.
Walter did a 619 and looked pretty good.
I know. I was this close. I loaded up that video. I was about to make that into a GIF. I really need to.
619 was pretty good.
619 was pretty good.
So to close the show, we got more Raw Underground. We see Dolph. He's in there. He wins a fight via rear naked choke.
With his Jordans on too.
I know. MVP grabs the mic. Lashley steps in the ring. MVP says, until further notice, Raw Underground is under control of Hurt Business. They came to fight. MVP asks, who wants to step up to Lashley? Some dude steps in. Lashley, fluid motion. Gut wrench. Power bombs the hell out of him. Dude gets up. Bang. Right hand. Fight over.
Oh, it was beautiful.
That was awesome.
It was beautiful. Then a 12-year-old kid challenged, I think, MVP. So MVP brings him up, and he doles out some ground and pound. I am all about that. At that point, I was all in. I was like, I see MVP dropping that really precise ground and pound stuff. So that's over. And then Dio Madden, poor Dio Madden, hadn't learned a thing from when he got written off Raw.
Is he ever gonna get his moment? Dude stepped up to Brock Lesnar.
That was such a great moment.
Stepped up to Brock Lesnar.
He to this day, literally an hour ago, got destroyed by the gold standard Shelton.
Well, I guess in a certain extent, it makes sense because Shelton and Brock are friends.
That's right. It makes sense. Long-term booking, man. That's what the WWE is built off of, Larson. So
sadly, you're mistaken. Anyways, Hurt Business, after they beat all those guys up, they just start brawling with everybody ringside. And Shane's like, oh, yeah, you've proven your point. Cool. Yeah, you're welcome to stay as long as you like. Welcome, come back anytime.
And then he drops the microphone and runs away.
Yeah, and then MVP says, we're the Hurt Business, and business is booming, and that's how the show ends.
Yeah. Had to yell at my dog because she's barking.
Yeah, who was that in, that was Princess Victoria in the Moolah Dark Side who was yelling at her dog, right?
It was both her, and then there was also
her daughter, but her daughter didn't yell. She just had some stern words for her dog.
Well, sometimes you gotta yell, man. Sometimes you gotta yell. Anyways, I had her in Devin's room, and then somebody let her out, and that's what happens. Yeah, let's answer some questions. I got a thread over here on the Patreon. I know we got a lot of questions on the Twitch. We'll kick it off with let's see here, Smurf Galway. Who would you like to see be the GM of Raw and SmackDown?
Pat Buck for Raw.
Adam Pearce. Scrap what? SmackDown. Scrap iron for SmackDown.
That's what I want to see.
Blind Man says, do you think more wrestlers should try out YouTube and or Twitch? Who would you watch? If you got to pick, who would you want to see on Twitch? And for me, it'd be Twitch because you're live. You're shooting
Daniel
from the
Bryan.
hip.
Daniel Bryan.
That'd be a good one. I was hoping that Chris Hero would start streaming.
That'd be good.
That'd be rad.
or Sami Zayn. You actually do the Telestrator wrestling analysis. I think
That's
really fun.
man, Samoa Joe. Joe. He's a gamer guy, and he'd have some amazing stories.
Wildly entertaining. Project CMR. Raw Underground feels like a show Killian Dane could actually win on. Who else would fit in perfectly on the Underground roster?
That's a really good point, actually.
Kona
Reeves. You say Kona Reeves?
No.
Shayna Baszler. James Rodriguez. Be
Oni
honest.
Lorcan.
Oni. Yeah, I could see Oni on there. I mean, honestly, like Prime would be Thatch.
Yeah.
Timothy Thatcher. He should be the GM.
He's too involved in NXT right now, so.
One day. James Rodriguez. Do you guys remember Randy and Drew were in a feud right before the Royal Rumble? Do you remember that?
Briefly.
I barely remember that.
Long-term storytelling. Mr. Forbesy, when do you think we will see Joe in the ring again, if ever? I don't know. I hope we do, because I still really enjoy his ring work.
I know. Hopefully, whenever he's cleared to wrestle, he'll still wrestle. I really don't want to lose him on commentary. If he could do like both, like wrestle a little bit and then commentate a lot. Let's see here.
See that.
I like this. Fear and Loathing says, not pictured during Corona Underground, cockfighting, dice games, and hookers.
Oh my goodness.
I'm telling you, if they go the other way with it, just have it be like an Oliver Stone production.
There you go. Gareth Nicholas. We see a Zelina Bianca feud in the ring? Zelina has said recently that she hasn't given up on her wrestling career. Would you like to see her transition to valet/competitor?
Sometime between now and SummerSlam, we're probably going to get that six-man mixed tag match. That wouldn't shock me. Alex Foster, what wrestler would you guys want to cut a shoot-style promo on? And what wrestlers would you not want to cut one on for fear of cryface? John Cena. Who would I want? Oh, I know who you'd want to cut one on. Easily. Damian Priest. Yeah.
Damian Priest.
Wolfpack for life. Should Ruby and Liv change their name? Because Riott Squad screams that Ruby is the leader if they're going to be equals. Nah, branding is everything.
Yeah, it really is.
It's a trusted name in wrestling.
Yeah. Nate, from a logical standpoint, what sense did it make to have Joe, Rollins, and Murphy in the same spot before and after commercial, but Seth and Buddy had chairs? It was a standoff that went down in the commercial break, where Joe was about to get in the ring, and then Seth or Buddy probably went down ringside, got chairs in an effort to keep Joe out of the ring.
Yeah, I think there are certain things you could sort of make that leap in logic. I get it. Moses opposes. Assuming Cruz beats MVP at SummerSlam, who should his next feud be with?
Bob Lashley.
In Raw Underground.
Ethion, what was tonight's weirdest thing? The attempted murder, the arson, or the Fight Club?
Which one was the attempted murder?
Montez.
Oh, God, yeah, the poison. Oh, wow. Well, the poisoning, to be honest with you. That was the weirdest thing.
It's so outside the norm of how they book things these days.
You don't see a lot of poisoning.
Dr. Lipkin, assuming that Ray has re-signed, Ray Walter would make good tag team champs. That's what Ray wants to do. He wants to tag with his kids. So.
Hey, Dominic is winning that match at SummerSlam, by the way.
I would not be surprised.
That shit's happening because
Ray will probably help him, but he will win.
Ray is going to resign. He says, "Hey, I tell you what, can't give me a raise even though he had record profits. Fine, okay. How about this? Dominic beats Seth at SummerSlam. You want to do? Let's do that.
What we should do maybe is say, all right, I'll backload the deal if they even do that, like NFL players are.
Oh yeah. You can pay me a smaller amount, but over a longer. Yeah.
First year this, second year this, third year I get this huge balloon payment.
Yeah. Let's see here. Church Jackson. I'm confused but highly entertained, like a David Lynch film. What high-class director do you want to direct a cinematic match?
You know my answer.
Werner Herzog.
Well, him and Yorgos Lanthimos.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. He sort of replaced Werner as your go-to answer for director
a lot of
questions.
things. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine is it's PTA, man. He's doing another one of those. He's doing another coming of age movie in San Fernando Valley in the 70s, man.
Cool.
Bradley Cooper's going to be in it.
Neat. White Brownie 92. Should WWE just make the Raw Underground cross brand and call it WWE Underground and make it a network exclusive?
You know, dude, I was sort of thinking about that kind of thing. Like when I was watching Talking Shop-A-Mania. Like, how cool would it be if it was the one thing that you took away from really at Talking Shop-A-Mania? It was just guys having a good time, you know? Having a laugh, having a goof. You got that WWE network. Just, you know, give some people some time off. Let them go do some cool stuff that they want to do. And they'll re-sign, and they're not going to need $750,000 a year. You don't have to entice them with money. Entice them with happiness. Entice them with freedom, and they will want to stick around. And on top of that, you have the added advantage of being the company that does cool shit, that lets your people do interesting things.
Mm-hmm. Julio Contreras, I'm pretty sure Ray's been on the record saying the 619 is hard, and Dom said Lance Storm was the one who taught him the real secret to doing it. I totally believe that's a hard move to do. That's why
it looks really hard to do. Yeah. What do you think the secret to doing it is, Larson?
I don't know, but if I was going to be, if I wanted to be a wrestler, I need my choice of who was going to train me. Right now, my choice would be Lance Storm.
It'd be either Lance Storm or I'd go to Booker T.
Everything I've heard about Lance Storm School is like glowing reviews.
I just heard he's like an amazing human being too. Yeah, for sure.
Jorge D, what 1999 film will Vince McMahon see next and make a segment out of? The Matrix, Phantom Menace. He's seen The Matrix because the Matrix influenced the hacker stuff. So he's seen The Matrix, or Pritchard has.
Let's see here. What about The Green Mile? Oh, how about this? Magnolia. Who did I say should be the Tom Cruise from Magnolia?
I don't remember. I'll say Dijakovic. Office Space. We bet you of vignettes inside Titan Towers of disgruntled employees.
That's good. I like it. American Pie. Damian Priest bangs a pie.
Oh gosh.
Oh, Eyes Wide Shut. That could be in one corner of Fidelio.
Underground.
Like there's the Fidelio corner over there.
There you go.
All right, no other movies. Let's see here. I'm on the Discord now. Mr. Lipkin says, what wrestlers would you like to voice act in video games?
What wrestlers?
Samoa Joe.
Yeah, he's done that.
What did he do it in?
Damian Priest. I don't remember, but I remember he did something on Twitter that he was voicing some stuff.
That's cool. Was it just the 2K career mode?
No, it was something else. He did some voice work for one of the Transformers animated things on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Ryan Rubik's Cube, since they have used the April layoffs and stories with Heath and Drake Maverick, is there a chance that some of the laid off talent was doing the sabotaging and they have re-signed behind the scenes? I mean, who that were cut could come back.
Dude,
Rusev,
everybody went.
Miro.
Everybody went places.
Well,
Miro was literally talking shit about WWE on Twitter today.
Mike Bennett hasn't signed anywhere, but given what happened on Talking Shop Mania, it'd be hard.
Yeah, I'd be pretty shocked about that one. I mean, if everybody hadn't already been signed places, I'd be like, yeah, that's a possibility. I mean, you got maybe Eric Rowan.
Yeah.
But Sarah Rowe is having a kid.
Yeah.
Sarah Logan, rather.
Yeah. Yep. Forgotten Jones, do you guys think there will be a Raw? Do you guys think there will be a title? Sorry, for Raw Underground. If they want me to care about it, yes.
If it continues, yes, they have to do that, and I hope it does. But yeah, I'm with you. I'll believe it when I see it. Dr. Steve Winters, did Shane go away to Japan and learn from Antonio Inoki about how to run a wrestling promotion? Yes, I would like to think so.
Shaq, do you think Raw Underground will really boost the ratings? No.
For this week, yes. Long term, no. Well, okay. Long term, if it's a cool idea, I mean, if it's a cool thing, long term, it's possible. I mean, people might tune in for it. But, I mean, it's the WWE. They always know how to mess up cool ideas.
Yep. Hip Hop Hippo, if Timothy Thatcher could fight anyone in Raw Underground Bloodsport, who should it be? It's anyone. Give me Walter. Give me Walter versus Timothy Thatcher.
Oh, wow. I'm sure it's happened like a million times.
I
could
think
probably watch it right now on YouTube. Freshly Squeezed Pugpool says, if you were to make a WWE Underground style game, Raw Underground style game, who would you put in it besides guys that actually did MMA? Who would you have make it?
Try to put the team back together that made all the really good N64 wrestling games.
What was that? Wasn't there a fighting game that had like 50 Cent? Didn't didn't they have like their own actual video game?
There was a Def Jam, a series of Def Jam.
Yeah, the Def Jam fighting game.
Wrestling games, yeah.
Yeah. But then didn't like G-Unit have their own like narrative-based...
That I don't...
I think they had their own like
fighting game?
No, like a narrative-based game. What was that?
Well, there was 50 Cent had a couple games. There was
Blood in the
Sand and another one, yeah.
Yeah. But the rest of G-Unit was in those games.
I think so.
50 Cent Bulletproof, yeah.
Was Blood in the Sand the other one?
Probably, yeah. Blood in the Sand. That's great.
Oh, Blood on the Sand. That's what it was called.
Blood. Well, it might be Blood in the Sand.
Oh, okay. Well, I looked it up, Blood on the Sand, it says here.
Okay, all right.
Close enough. Dang MQ says Asuka needs to start streaming. She's got a YouTube channel.
Yeah, she's got a pretty terrific YouTube channel. Let's see here. Got a couple more on the Discord. Actually, one more. This is from Zoid. Should Apollo and MVP have their SummerSlam match in the Underground? Sure,
yeah.
Why not? Yeah, why not?
Asian Murr says, sign Freight Train for a Raw Underground.
Yes! Give me for Raw Underground, I want the Nature Boy Paul Lee. That's all the questions I got.
Okay. We got a couple more here. Solus, was this episode just Vince trying to cover as many bases as he and be as shocking, entertaining, insert event here as possible? And are the ninjas meant to be a Dark Order response? I think he was definitely trying to jam as much stuff in here to try to give people some reason to tune in.
Mm-hmm.
O-Dog, I thought for sure this was going to lead to Shane being the manager of Babatunde.
Yeah. Hey, if they got high hopes for that guy, maybe. I like this. Mr. Sinister here says Bivens should be the GM for Raw Underground. Oh, that'd be terrific. That'd be great.
That is funny. So Ryan's Rubik's Cube says, according to IMDb, Joe was in a Transformers miniseries and Dota 2. Did some voice work.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
That's it. That's all I got.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. Tomorrow I'll be back with a news brief. And of course, Impact Wrestling, twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. You can just watch the entire thing right here. We all just hang out. It's a great time. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Appreciate it. Next time. Talk to you later.
Goodbye.